Hello, welcome to another English Sparkling with Tweedy video on this very gloomy day. Perhaps I can cut to some footage of my walk here. Look at all of that. Seems like a lot of effort rather than my filming setup, which I'm currently holding in my right hand with no great hardship. Well, I suppose I've got a lav mic as well. While I'm up here, just wanted to show you what the level of gloom is currently today. Perhaps a useful segue to talk about this particular wine. This is another one from that mixed case from Hawkins Brothers, the wine merchant based down in Surrey, of their favourite fizzers from 2024. I think this has also won a gold medal at some award ceremony or other, and it's one I've never heard of before. The producer's called Candover Brook, and they're based somewhere in Hampshire. The tenuous connection to today's weather is, look at this, it's a clear glass bottle. So I've probably mentioned Light Strike before. I think this is a bad idea. A wine, and particularly this seems to be more common with rosé wines in general, not necessarily always sparkling, still rosé wines as well. They want to show off the colour, they put it in a clear glass bottle. But if this is exposed to sunlight, it runs the risk of being affected by this lesser known wine fault called light strike. And there's some sort of chemical reaction from that sunlight on the wine going through the clear glass there, and it ends up tasting all sort of cabbagey and horrible. So I've kept this wrapped up since I've got it, and it's as gloomy a day as I can possibly hope for today. So hopefully this is safe. These are safe conditions to be drinking this. But if there's any talk of notes of cabbage, then we know where that comes from. So this is predominantly a 2018 vintage. It's sold as an NV, and I think 85% of the fruit comes from 2018, that very hot year. And I think they said it's their maiden vintage. It's the first release they've done. And they've been at this for quite a while. It said there are reserve wines going back to 2011. So they've really bided their time there before putting out their first release, if that's correct. 36 months, I think it said, on the lees, about 3 years on the lees. And the cepage, the grape breakdown, is actually kind of interesting here. It's predominantly Chardonnay. It's 54% Chardonnay. I always assume rosé wines are going to be much heavier on the Pinot than the Chardonnay, and perhaps no Chardonnay at all. But this is predominantly Chardonnay, and the Pinot is in there for colour. Some of that will have been made as a still wine, a still red wine. It is also more Pinot Meunier than Pinot Noir. Is it something like 34% Pinot Meunier, and then the remainder of whatever that leaves us with 13. My maths isn't very good. I'll put the stats on screen. So to me that seems like a slightly unusual blend. First of all, being Chardonnay dominant, and then second of all, more Meunier than Noir. On the nose, I think I'm getting, I suppose, soft red berry fruit. Could be a hint of strawberry in there. Might also be some sort of orchard fruit backdrop as well. You'd expect the Chardonnay being in the dominant position to be contributing something, so that's probably a bit of apple or something. Maybe red apple. Should we say red apple and strawberries? Sounds more in keeping with the colour. I almost thought for a moment I got a slight whiff of orange peel, something like that as well. Might just be my brain playing tricks on me because of that, well, rosé but slightly veering orangey sort of colour, although it's hard to tell in this gloomy light. Okay, yeah, that's pleasant enough. Pretty zingy on the palate. Relatively soft bubbles, I would say. One of those sort of delicately sparkling mineral water type effects. And I think there is a bit of minerality there. The Candover Valley is apparently a chalk stream, or the Candover Brook is apparently a chalk stream, or there's a chalk stream around there somewhere or other. I suppose there is a bit more fruit character there. I'm slightly reminded of something like raspberry sorbet or something like that. It's a sort of textural thing as much as the flavour of the fruit there. I think I'm getting a bit of stone fruit character from that now in terms of fruit expression. Yeah, something kind of peachy in there. I'm tempted to occasionally think hints of melon, but that could be my imagination. So it's interesting that this has so much Pinot character for something that is 54% Chardonnay, 46% Pinot. I don't know if some of that is kind of psychological. As soon as I see pink, I think Pinot. I think there's only about 5 minutes to go until sunset, and the light is probably going to get gloomy. The fox has already done a quick drive-by, actually. He said hello. Well, didn't really say hello, just stomped past without hanging around. So I should probably come up with a summary for this. I think I quite like it. First of all, I'm happy it doesn't smell of cabbages. So light strike has not been an issue. I trust Hawkins Brothers, the wine merchant, to have stored this thoughtfully. It won't have been in a shop window or anything daft like that. And since I've had it, it's either been in the cellar or in my fridge wrapped, or it's been on this in my bag on this gloomy walk. So there's no chance this would have been exposed to strong sunlight. So it's fine. I like some of the fruit character here. The thing I'm not quite getting to grips with yet is the texture of it somehow. Hard to sort of put my finger on what the issue is. I think initially I found those bubbles a little bit soft. It's not that it was flat, but it wasn't quite as fizzy as I expected. Sometimes that can be just an interaction with the glass, and sometimes the first glass is a bit less fizzy. And I'd say the second glass is coming across a little bit fizzier. So I think that can be an interaction with washing up liquid even. I'd wash this just before coming out. I always give it a pretty thorough rinse with cold water without washing up liquid, but I don't know, perhaps there was some subtle reaction there that caused that first glass to not be perhaps quite as fizzy, or not perhaps quite have the texture that it should have done. So slightly better on the second glass. Still, I feel like there's something a bit lacking here, and like I say, it's really hard to put my finger on it. I really can't think of a legitimate criticism, so perhaps I actually like it. And my opinion has been sort of weirdly coloured by that initial shock at the clear glass. Why am I trying to find a reason to not like it? It's actually very nice. It does have that lovely fruit expression. A little bit not what I would expect given the grape blend, but that's not a problem. Maybe I'll just shut up and enjoy the rest of this in the gloom. Cheers.